Welcome everyone to this new video of mobile communication and computing. In the last video, we saw the architecture of GSM. In that architecture, we saw that in the entire system, there is only one connection which is wireless. That connection is between mobile station and base transceiver station. It is the only connection which is wireless. Apart from it, every other connection has a wired connection. So we are going to see that connection details or standardization done by the GSM for that wireless connection in this particular video. It is called as radio interface of GSM. Okay, so radio interface is a standardization of wireless connection between mobile station and base transceiver station. It is named as UM interface, which is U interface of ISDN network adapted for mobility, and that's why the subscript is M. Okay, so UM comes from the U interface of ISDN network. Okay, so what does this standardization or what does this radio interface consist of? It comprises mechanisms for multiplexing and media access. So the GSM system provides standard specification about how to multiplex the user data or voice and how to access the medium in case of wireless communication. Okay, so as we know that GSM architecture is basically implementing a space division multiple access. That means entire geographical area is divided into smaller cells which are controlled by base transceiver station. Each cell is allocated a set of frequency channels. Okay, these channels are separated into two parts. One is downlink and other is uplink. Okay, and this separation into two parts is known as frequency division duplexing. Okay, because what is downlink and uplink? The connection or UM interface is between BTS and mobile station. So downlink means BTS to mobile station and uplink means mobile station to BTS. So whatever frequency channel that is available, it will be divided into a downlink channel and uplink channel for communication in different direction. So this frequency division is known as FDD, frequency division duplexing. Okay, then for multiple access, GSM uses combination of TDMA and FDMA. Okay, so how users are going to access individual channel, that is dependent on combination of FDMA and TDMA. So in the GSM 900 MHz spectrum, which is followed in India, there are total 248 channels, 124 channels for downlink, 124 channels for uplink. Within that 124 channels, each channel is 200 kilohertz wide. So if you multiply 124 into 200, you will get total channel width. Okay, we will see that details of calculation in the later in the video. So FDMA is implemented by dividing the downlink channel into 124 subchannels. Okay, similarly we can divide uplink channels into 124 subchannels used for uplink communication. Some countries follow GSM 1800 standard, that is GSM implemented in 1800 MHz spectrum. For that there are 374 channels. Okay, so 374 for downlink and 374 for uplink. So let's talk about GSM 900 standard. In this, out of 124 channels available in particular direction, first and last, that is channel number 1 and channel number 124, are not used for user transmission. Okay, they are kept reserved due to technical reasons. Then out of remaining 122, 32 channels are reserved for sending organizational data. That means they are not available for customers. So between different base stations or communication between different entities of the GSM system like base station controller or MSC, you will require certain channels. These 32 channels are reserved for that. So out of the remaining 122, 32 for the organizational data and remaining 90 are used for customers. That means users are available to access 90 channels out of 124 channels. So each base station or BTS manages a single channel for organization data and up to 10 channels for user data. So out of the all 122 channels, each base station reserves one for organizational data and up to maximum 10 for customers. So you can see how many cells or how many base stations are possible within the one base station controller. Okay, so let's see how this FDMA technique is implemented. So you can see the different channels downlink and uplink in this particular diagram. This is a frequency axis. Okay, that means on this axis everything is about frequency. So it is divided into two parts. Upper one is downlink channel, lower one is uplink channel. Downlink channel has a frequency from 935 megahertz to 960 megahertz. This is GSM 900 band. Okay, total 935 to 960 means 25 megahertz. Okay, so this 25 megahertz is divided into 124 channels, each being 200 kilohertz wide. So if you calculate 124 into 200 kilohertz, you will get how much? 2.48 megahertz. Okay, so sorry, 24.8 megahertz. So out of 25 megahertz, 24.8 megahertz are channels and remaining 200 kilohertz is called as guard space. Okay, similar thing happens in case of uplink channels. For uplink, frequency band is 890 megahertz to 915 megahertz. Again 25 megahertz bandwidth divided into 124 channels, each one of 200 kilohertz wide. So while writing your answers in exams, if there is a question like write a short note on or write a note on radio interface of GSM, you have to specify these two frequency bands. You cannot avoid mentioning these two frequency bands. This is most important. For downlink 935 to 960 megahertz, for uplink 890 to 915 megahertz. Now each of 248, as I said, is divided into 200 carrier, 124 channels. Now this is about FDMA. Now how TDMA is combined with this? Now this each channel is divided into frame that are repeated continuously. So there will be, if you see the diagram, number of frames, sorry, like frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5 and so on. This is 1, 2, 3, sorry, this is third frame, this is fourth frame and so on. So each frequency channel, availability of each frequency channel is divided into different time frames. Number of such frames are combined so that entire channel will be occupied for 24 hours. Okay, so channel is divided into number of time frames and each time frame is divided into number of time slots. So within a frame there is a 8 time slots, 1 2 3 4 up to 8, which are available for the user data transmission. Okay, so a frame with a duration of 4.615 millisecond, so you can see 24 hours divided by 4.615 milliseconds, whatever number comes, that many number of frames will be available throughout the day. Now sorry, within each frame there are 8 time slots. That means 8 users can transmit a data. Each user is allocated a single time slot. Duration of each time slot is given by 577 microseconds. Okay, this is the duration of individual time slot. Okay, so this is dividing a frequency into a different time durations, that is TDMA. So that's why this is a combination of TDMA and FDMA. So if we have multiple frames like 1, 2, 3, each user gets a chance to transmit the data in each frame only once. So if I am user number 1, I will get a time slot 1, for example. I will get to transmit the data in the first frame, then in the second frame, then in the third frame, and so on, for only 577 microseconds. Okay, so like this 8 users can transmit the data after every 4.615 milliseconds. Okay, so 8 users can transmit the data after every 4.615 milliseconds. I hope this concept of TDMA and FDMA is now clear. Entire bandwidth is divided into number of channels, so FDMA. Then each channel is accessible in different time durations, that is TDMA. Okay, so let's see more details about this. So as I said, data is transmitted in small portion. These portions are called as bursts. There are different formats of bursts. In the previous diagram, we have seen one format. This is called as a normal burst. This is the format in which user can transmit the data. We will see the details of this format. So this is called as burst. This is a so-called normal burst. There are other bursts as well. We will see their names in the coming in the latter in the video. So as you can see in the burst, how much duration is available for actual transmission of data and how much duration is used for control information. Okay, so out of 577 microseconds, you can see in this diagram, only 546.5 microsecond data is transmitted, because there is a guard space before the start of the time slot and end of the time slot. There is a guard space. This is to avoid overlapping between consecutive time slots, because this is time synchronized. If there is any error in synchronization, data from two users should not overlap, and that's why this guard space is inserted at the beginning and end of a time slot. After that, 3 bits at the start of a slot, actual data slot, and 3 bits at the end of a data slot are used for synchronization, or these are inserted with 0. These are called as tail bits. Okay, during this slot synchronization can happen. Then there are 2 slots, sub slots, for transmission of user data. Okay, these slots include 57 bits each. So out of total user data that is transmitted within 577 microsecond, only 114 bits of user data will get transmitted. The total number of data bits that are transmitted are 148, out of which 114 are entered by the user. Okay, remaining 34 are control signals or control information like tail bits. Then there is a S bit, single bit. S bit indicates whether the data contained in these fields is user data or control information, like information sent from base station to mobile switching center or mobile switching center to mobile switching center. What kind of information is contained in the user data is indicated by these S bits. Then there is a 26 bits for training. These training bits are used for again synchronization during the transmission. So let's see the details of each of these bits again. Okay, in the diagram, burst only is of 546.5 microsecond, as I said, which contains 148 bits. The remaining 30.5 microseconds are used as guard space to avoid overlapping with other bursts, that is with other users, to different part delays and to give the transmitter time to turn on and turn off. Okay, so this is kind of allowing the transmitters and receiver to activate themselves for respective operation. Okay, filling the whole slot with data allows the transmission of 156.25 bits. So instead of guard space, if we fill the entire frame with the data, then the total number of bits that we could transmit is 156.25, which occupies 577 microseconds. So this is not the actual number which is transmitted. Only 148 bits are transmitted. Remaining time duration is for guard space. So as you can see, 156.25. 0.25 bits are not possible. We cannot divide a bit into 4 parts. So this is just a representation of a actual time in terms of bits. If 577 microseconds are given, you can transmit these many bits, that is 156.25. But we don't have 577 microsecond, we have only 546.5 microsecond. So we can transmit 148 bits. Each physical TDM channel has a raw data rate of about 33.8 kbps. So each radio carrier can transmit approximately 270 kbps over the UM interface. Okay, so single user has a data rate of 33.8 kilobits per second, not bytes, kilobits, and 8 such users will combine to give frame rate of 270 kilobits per second. So user data rate is only 33.8 kilobits per second. Okay, that is in the first version of GSM, that is second generation of mobile communication system. So when it was introduced, this was the data rate achieved for user data transmission. Now later on, as the technology evolved, data rate was increased, that we will see later on. So first and last 3 bits of, as I said, normal burst are tail bits, which are all set to 0, can be used to enhance receiver performance. So receiver can adjust itself for correctly receiving during this particular time period, that is tail bits. Then training sequence in the middle, that we have seen already in the diagram, is used to adapt the parameters of receiver, like adjusting the gain of the antenna, then tuning to correct frequency. For that purpose, training sequence is inserted. So during that time period, receiver can adapt to the proper reception. Then flag S indicates whether data field contains user data or network control data, that is indicated by flag S. This was the normal burst. As I said, there are other bursts or other formats of data transmission as well. One such formation is frequency correction burst. Frequency correction burst. This type of or this format is used for allowing mobile station to correct the local oscillator frequency and avoid interference with neighboring channels. As we know, each channel has a dedicated frequency, so mobile station should tune to that frequency. So to which frequency a mobile user should tune, that is indicated by frequency correction burst. Okay, so how user will know which frequency is used for communication, that is indicated by frequency correction burst. This is downlink burst, which is sent from base station to mobile station. Okay, similar to that, there is a synchronization burst with an extended training sequence. Rather than only 26 bits, more number of bits are given if receiver requires more time to synchronize with the base station. Okay, this is also a downlink burst, that means sent from base station to mobile station. Then there is third type, or actually fourth type if you consider normal burst also. Then fourth type is access burst, is used for initial connection setup between mobile station and base station. That means when you initiate a call, first thing that you will transmit is a access burst. So it will indicate base station that user or we want to access the frequency channel, and that is indicated by this access burst. After that it will send frequency correction, synchronization or other bursts. Okay, so this is uplink burst. Access burst is sent by user to the base station, that's why it is uplink burst. And finally there is a dummy burst. It is used if no data is available for slot. So in the frame there are 8 slots. If certain user has nothing to transmit, then dummy burst is inserted in between that slot. Okay, so there are total 5 types of bursts. Now let's see how these frames are combined to provide the total system or GSM frame hierarchy. Okay, as we have seen previously, a burst, different type of burst, is inserted in a time slot. So time slot is one slot is equal to burst plus guard space. Burst plus guard space is equal to one slot. Okay, 8 slots is equal to, so 8 slots is equal to one frame. Okay, so if you combine 8 slots, you will get a one frame of 4.615 milliseconds. Now if you combine such 26 frames, or in GSM 26 frames are combined together to form one multi-frame. So duration of one multi-frame is 120 millisecond. Okay, so this is 26 frames into 4.615. You can do that calculation. 26 into 4.615 milliseconds, you will get 120 milliseconds. 120 millisecond is one multi-frame. Then if you combine 51 multi-frames, you will get one hyperframe, sorry, super frame. Okay, so 51 into 120 milliseconds, you will get one super frame. 51 into 120 millisecond, you will get super frame. Duration of one super frame is 6.12 seconds. Then if you combine 2048 super frames, you will get one hyperframe. This is called as hyperframe. Duration of hyperframe is 3 hours 28 minutes and 53.76 seconds. So 2048 into 6.2. If you do that calculation, you will get this as an answer. Okay, this is called as hyperframe. So this is how several frames are combined to occupy entire 24 hours within a GSM system. During this is a for one channel, single channel. Each channel is divided into such hyperframes, superframes, multiframes, frames, slots, and then bursts. Okay, so this is a frame hierarchy followed for the radio interface of GSM. So this is all about radio interface, wireless connection between mobile station and base transceiver station. Okay, so in the next video we will see the protocol architecture or protocols followed in the GSM. That's all for today. If you have any queries, you can comment on this video. Thank you.